Hey everyone, it's Steve from the garden, and today's video is doing the May garden tour. So let's get started. We'll start the tour with the sweet corn bed. The variety planted here is Northern Extra Sweet. Not really had great germination with this, but we'll make up for that with planting extra seeds in the third planting. Now in the middle rows, I've planted kidney beans I saved from last year. The germination was great on those. Although it looks like must have got in here last night. These are overflow of candy onions. It has a overflow of a bell pepper. Main onion bed here is looking really good. Candy onions are on the right, Patterson are on the left. You can see where the Pattersons are because there's a slightly different color from the candy onions. Candy onions are like a lighter green and the Pattersons are like a bluish green. We've actually seen some of the candy onions starting to bulb, and the Pattersons, being a long day, they should not start to bulb until after the summer solstice. I did do one final fertilization of the Patterson onions. That'll be it for this year. Next up is the tomato, pepper, and basil bed. This one here in the bucket is a sun gold, and I'm starting to get some tomatoes on there. These ones here on the Florida weave, which is these first 5 on the left, that's summer pick, which is like a large meaty slicer. These ones here are cayenne up to that big one, which is the one I overwintered. I have an overflow California Wonder. We get into the Italian basil, along with some Thai basil. That's ones with the little purple flowers on there. The rest of these tomatoes here are San Marzano. I got some paprika. These other ones here on the right are jalapenos. And I have another overflow of California Wonder. This area I cleaned up. It was all full of weeds, and I planted some flowers in here. I got black-eyed Susans, some red sage, marigolds, petunias, some sunflowers, Shasta daisies. These are irises I planted a few years ago. Some zinnia. And this is one of my grapevines. This one's a Hope grape, which is a green grape, seedless. Starting to get some clusters forming on here. So the clusters I'll limit to 2. Another grapevine, this one's a Niagara. This is also a green grape. This one needs really another year, but I'm going to single stem this up to the top of the fence so it can start running down. This one's a red grape. This is called Reliance, also seedless. Now if this one forms any clusters, I'll probably limit it to 1 cluster, and then on the end I want it to get the run down. This is the raspberry bed, which is really filling in very nicely. Got clusters of raspberries forming. And this Joe and Jay is all loaded up. Just waiting for those to mature. And we got a lot of young shoots all coming up. So the young ones were fruit in the fall. Then last year's canes, fruit in June. We got a little bee doing some pollinating there. Potato beds popping up real good. Potato panel is working out real nicely. Plants are popping through it without too much assistance on my part. And the kale panel is there just to keep everything organized, keep it from flopping over, and if we get any heavy winds, it'll keep them in place. Next up is the popcorn and sweet potato bed. Popcorn's planted on 3-foot rows, and the sweet potato slips I grew from my small sweet potatoes from last year. That worked out really well. I had plenty of them, and I actually have some more I'm going to put in some buckets. And then as the corn gets a little bit bigger, I will plant pinto beans on each side of it, so you can use the corn stalks as a trellis. This is some more tomatoes. This is fresh salsa, and I have a fresh salsa and a summer pick. I gotta get those on the Florida weave. They're starting to get a little too big and top heavy. This is an overflow onion bed. This is a mix of Candy and Patterson. This is the large strawberry bed. Everything's flowering. You can see strawberries are starting to form. June will be our big time to get strawberries. And last year I probably got like 15 to 20 pounds of those. This bed here is mostly broccoli, but I did plant some potatoes last fall, so some of those came up. These small ones here are the third planting. These are the second planting, and these are the first plantings, and I am getting broccoli heads forming, so it won't be long before I'll be able to harvest those. This bed I have lettuce here on the end, so what you see here in front is a third planting and then a fourth planting. I have a potato that popped up here. I must have missed a couple spuds last year. They're probably started off as real small ones, and I just missed them. This lettuce is from seed that fell last year when one of the plants went to seed. In this area I have winter squash, which is a combination of table queen acorn squash saved from seed, and a miniature butternut, which is called Butter Baby. More lettuce that popped up from last year. And this area here will be dedicated to watermelons. I have a combination of Crimson Sweet, which is an open pollinated, and I have a couple tailgates, which is like a seedless version of the Crimson Sweet. Our season here isn't long enough to grow monster watermelons, so we have to grow the smaller, like volleyball size ones. This lettuce here is part of the third planting, and this is my second planting of lettuce. So the second planting is ready for picking off, and then as that gets used up, the third planting will be used after that. These are the potatoes I'm growing in buckets. So I'm going to do a comparison of how the buckets do versus the in-ground. Last year, the in-ground definitely outproduced the buckets. So we'll see. We'll do an experiment with them. This is the asparagus. I planted this from seed last year, so these crowns are now 1 year old. It'll be another 2 years before I can start to harvest them. Now I did go through and interplant shook sand strawberries in here. Asparagus and strawberries are supposed to make a good combination. I've never done that before, so we'll just try it out. This is chestnut red garlic and music garlic. Now I did pick off some scapes on these already. Like here's some right here. These are producing scapes a couple weeks early. Last year I didn't get scapes until about June 15th. So we're running a couple weeks early on that. I got thyme, oregano. I got to clip some of that and dry it out for the kitchen. This is the sweet pepper bed. So we got Italian peppers, California Wonder, Sunbright Bell. I got sweet peas in here. These are actually Oregon sugar pods, so you actually harvest the pods. And now that they're flowering, it probably shouldn't be too long before I can start picking those. These are Melrose peppers I got from a friend. Those three in the back are paprika. and I have a pair of lunchbox peppers. Now last year I grew orange and red. I saved the orange only because I like the orange much better than the red. They're much sweeter and better tasting. This is my first planting of green beans, and I have some more peas. In this spot here, I'm going to be planting another succession of green beans. The green beans are all being planted from seed I saved from last year. This is my wild patch. I did not plant this. This was left over from a previous owner. I got blackberries and I got black raspberries. So those are coming in. I have another smaller patch that I don't know where they came from or whether they were planted purposely or not, but I do get berries off of these, so I just kind of let them go wild in this corner. This is the small strawberry bed. Now most of the strawberries I got are like Seascape. I do have some quinault, but those would be pink flowers. And I did plant in here, I got some more shook sands. Those are the small ones. Look at that. Oh, we have a berry starting to ripen. So those are coming along. Another shook sand there. Again, these would be Seascape. These are the shook sand growing in these pots. I got them in the pots because I'm revamping the big strawberry bed after the June flush to raise up the soil level. So I'm kind of holding these in reserve, getting them started. I got sweet potatoes that I need to put in the buckets. It's my fourth planting of broccoli. So once they have first planting, I cut the heads. I'm going to pull them out and put those in. Then the rest is the overflow of the flowers I still have to get in the ground. As gardeners, we start plants from seed. And generally, you try to start more than you actually need, in just case something doesn't work out right or gets damaged. You have extras you can fill in the spot with. But when things do go pretty much according to plan, you end up with some extras. So that's where things like this tomato or this bell pepper over here, you don't necessarily want to get rid of things, so you try to find a spot for them. That's it for the video today. Hope you enjoyed. If you did like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next one.